It's Monday night, and we're sharpening our takes. You're tuned into The Cut, hosted by Thomas Robb.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome into another episode of The Cut. It is March 24th in the year of our Lord 2025. I feel great being here with you guys tonight. It was a fantastic weekend over out here in sports world. We had some great finishes over the weekend. We had some brackets busted. We had some PGA players that thought they were going to win and then ended up blowing the bag. And then we had some wild shit pop off in the NBA. So it's been an awesome time. It's been great to be sitting there watching these March Madness games and really seeing some beautiful things happen with some teams. I'm really excited to go over this with you tonight and talk a little sports. That's what we're here to do. I'm Tom Roth. I'm here with The Cut, always produced by my main man over there, Anthony Oquendo. So thank you, Anthony. We want to shout out one of our sponsors tonight, and that's going to be Cracked Repair, located in the Ashtabula Town Square and ran by Anthony Oquendo. You can visit Anthony at the Ashtabula Town Square out in beautiful Ashtabula, Ohio, or if you want the convenience and you want the comfort of your own home, you're in luck. If you go to Cracked, CRAKD, repair.com. You can head on over there and do everything seamlessly. You're going to be able to get a quote, see the repair status of your phone. You can sell him your device and find out a little bit about him at the website. You can also give a call to 440-536-4044 and find out anything you need to know from the man in the know, Anthony Oquendo. Anthony's got a nifty little in-screen pop-up going right here detailing the crackedrepair.com website. Anthony looks like he can get a quote on any of his services rendered. So we're going to go in there and see. Guys, super easy. Look at that. It was pretty quick too, Anth. You could pretty much stand to do this in 5 minutes or less, huh?
Definitely.
And that's probably the aim on your part, isn't it?
Make it as easy as possible, less complicated as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I'm looking at that screen, your picture in picture right here, brother, and it's a pretty wide range thing that you can quote out there. And contact information, get ready to go. You can even, like you said, sell your device, get a repair status. Give Anthony a call at 440-536-4044. Visit him at crackedrepair.com or head on down to the Ashtabula Town Square and check out everything that he has in the store in his inventory ready to sell you and repair for you. All right, awesome. Let's get right into the topics tonight, guys. We're going to talk about a sport we rarely talk about here on The Cut. We aren't a podcast that's new to the world of golf, though. Anthony and I both enjoy golfing quite a bit. Hardly get to go with each other anymore. Anthony's always got something going on in his busy schedule, but I think we got out together like twice last year. Hemlock, I believe it was, out there in Austinburg, Ohio. When we first started our podcast, we had a gentleman by the name of Josh Kraus come on our podcast, and Josh is a golf pro, not a professional golfer, but a golf pro at Erie Shores Clubhouse out in Madison, Ohio, and he was a head course guy out in Erie, Pennsylvania for quite a little bit. One of the best golfers I've ever met, and he came on and did our show. But as a fan of the game of golf, but also watching it as well, so playing and watching, it's always a treat when you have a great tournament going. And we got the granddaddy of all tournaments coming in a few weekends, and that's going to be the Masters tournament played out in Augusta, Georgia. Our friend of the show, Josh Kraus, who I just spoke about, is actually going to the Masters this year. He texted me and he was so excited, and you can't help but be happy for him too, because not only does he love golf, but getting tickets to the Masters is really freaking tough, and he was able to do it. So shout out to him. But we got to watch the Valspar Open this past weekend, and what an event it was. So Viktor Hovland, who is one of the cover athletes on our cover to our podcast this week. I think that's going to be our new term for those guys, Anthony. Cover athletes. That's pretty dope, Ray. Hey, I'm fucking clever, dude. So one of the cover athletes of this podcast's episode is actually Victor Hovland, who ended up winning the Valspar Open this past weekend after shooting 4 under on Sunday to finish at 11 under for the tournament. Billy Horschel finishes in the top 4 at 8 under. Billy Horschel's one of my favorite golfers. He's fantastic. And Shane Lowry, the Irishman, finishes tied for 8th at 6 under. So some pretty big names in the top 8 of this tournament this past weekend. But one of the biggest ones was Justin Thomas. So Justin Thomas is one of the best golfers in the world, hands down. In my opinion, Justin Thomas is in my opinion, and I don't think a lot of people agree generally. I think they would have agreed a few years ago more full-heartedly. But in my mind, Justin Thomas is a top 8 golfer in the world. And he was poised to win his first title since the 2022 PGA Championship this past weekend at Valspar. He was leading by 2 strokes with 3 holes to play on Sunday. And he bogeyed the 16th, and he bogeyed the 18th. To finish right behind Victor Hovland. So Victor Hovland finished birdie on 16 and 17 and bogeyed the 18th, but it was still enough to win. So Justin Thomas, if you guys have ever watched the Netflix documentary Full Swing, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about here. Justin Thomas goes up to Victor Hovland, shakes his hand, looks him in the eyes, and super serious says, "See you at Augusta." So Justin Thomas is putting it in to Victor Hovland's head right now that, hey, you might have won this week, but you're not going to beat me at Augusta. Like, Thomas is ready to go, and I'm really excited for that because a lot of people, I think, believe that golf is maybe not a boring sport, but a boring sport to watch. There's a difference. So when you're out there golfing, it's a lot of fun. You're engaged, you're with your friends, or maybe you're doing it solo, and you're just learning to get better with every swing, right? And I think people find playing golf fun because of the social aspect and because of the desire and the want to get better, because it's a very tangible goal in something like golf. But I think that a lot of people believe that watching golf might be a touch boring. And I don't necessarily agree with that, but Full Swing from Netflix was able to go and document these guys through a season. And we just finished season 3 of Full Swing. Justin Thomas is a very prevalent figure on the show, and you kind of get to see into his world a little bit. And it is made pretty well known, in my opinion, that Justin Thomas is a very competitive man. He's one of those guys that he's got to be going all day, and he's striving to win, right? We haven't seen him win since 2022, but Justin Thomas showed yesterday by finishing right behind Victor Hovland that he's not going away anytime soon. He is not going to fade into the obscurity that some of these golfers fade into. As a really prime example of that, the name Ricky Fowler might be a very familiar name to a lot of people, and Ricky Fowler is a great golfer. But if we look a few years ago, Ricky Fowler was one of the hottest commodities on the planet in golf. He was absolutely everywhere. He had the really long flipped hair. He had the awesome orange Puma outfits. You know what I mean? He was decked out. He did some boy band stuff. He did a little rap. You know, he was seemingly everywhere. And he was golfing very well. And Ricky Fowler, after a while, couldn't recapture the magic that he created week in and week out. So he kind of faded into a bit of an obscurity in the competitive sense. but he never really faded out of the public eye because he's Ricky Fowler and everybody loves Ricky. Justin Thomas in my opinion, wants to be the antithesis of that by competing the way he does every week. He's refusing to fade it into obscurity. He's refusing to become kind of an afterthought on the PGA. He not only wants us to know, because the moment that he shared with Victor Hovland definitely wasn't just only for Victor Hovland. It was also for America as a whole to see that and say, hey, he's not going away. He's not going away. Oh, Josh Krause, we were just talking about you, buddy. Justin Thomas's grandfather was a PGA teaching professional at Peak and Peak. That's pretty awesome. Peak and Peak's only what, like, Anthony, it's like an hour and a half drive from here?
No idea. I know it's not far.
Yeah, it's pretty close. So that being that close is pretty awesome. Justin Thomas, fantastic golfer. I'm really excited to see where he goes. And Josh just chimed in, and like a couple minutes ago, I just congratulated Josh on winning tickets to the Masters. Josh will be there to give us a first-hand account. Let's chat about the Masters just a little bit. Let's chat about the Masters. It's coming up soon. Coming up very soon. It actually is bookended on April 13th of this year, again at Augusta, Georgia. Golfing out there. There's a few things that are important about the Masters to chat about. One of them obviously is the golf and who we think is going to win. But the other thing that I like talking about every year is the Masters dinner. So the Masters dinner is a menu that's curated by the previous year's champion, and this year is going to be Scotty Scheffler. So Scotty Scheffler previously won the Masters and had a pretty dynamic menu. Scotty Scheffler's menu this year looks even better. Anthony, can you pull that menu up? Can you pull the Masters menu up?
Masters menu?
Yeah, what Scotty Scheffler's Masters dinner menu is this year. And then I'm going to ask you your opinion on something here in a moment, Anthony. I want you to, well, you'll know what I'm going to ask you about. I want you to start thinking about it when I bring the topic up, okay?
What's his name? Scotty what?
Scotty Scheffler. Yeah, it's right there. First one on PGA Tour. All right. So Scotty Scheffler's Masters Club dinner menu. Listen to this. This sounds wild. So his appetizers are cheeseburger sliders, firecracker shrimp with sweet Thai chilies and sriracha mayo. Then Papa Chef, which I'm assuming is his dad or grandpa's recipe maybe, meatball and ravioli bites, so pecorino cheese and tomato basil sauce on it. His first course is a Texas-style chili with cheddar cheese, jalapenos, and corn chips. His main course is a choice of a wood-fired cowboy ribeye or blackened redfish served with family-style macaroni and cheese, jalapeno cream corn, soy glazed Brussels sprouts, and chipotle lime roasted sweet potatoes. His dessert is a warm chocolate chip skillet cookie with vanilla bean ice cream. Wow. Anthony, what say you about that menu?
That's a lot of food for one. But it looks delicious. It sounds delicious.
Doesn't that sound dope as fuck?
It sounds amazing.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do, brother. I'm getting you involved tonight a little bit. I miss chatting with you back and forth, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to say what my Masters Club dinner would be if I, by some stroke of God's favor, won the Masters one year. And then I want you to think of what your Masters Club dinner would be. I want you to critique mine, and then I'm going to critique yours, okay? So I'm going to tell you what mine is, but I need you to think what you're going to do for yours, okay?
All right.
All right, so for my appetizers, I'm going to do smoked jalapeno poppers with cheddar cheese wrapped in bacon with a buttermilk ranch sauce on the side. And then another appetizer would be a spinach artichoke dip with a lump crab and shrimp in there mixed together, served with fresh tortilla chips that are squeezed with fresh lime and salt on them. Okay. For my dinner, I'm going to a veal meatball and spicy Italian sausage served with a Sunday gravy, rigatoni, homemade garlic bread, a family style salad, and family style wedding soup. Okay, that's the whole main course. And then for dessert, a homemade tiramisu. So that would be mine.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
That's all sounds delicious.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You know what I would go with though?
I want to hear yours.
It's very simple.
Okay.
Very simple.
Okay.
I am going to get the lettuce jump the border from Fire Chicken
Oh.
and a Coke.
And a Coca. That's what you're serving to everyone. That's what you're serving to everyone.
We're going over the border, baby.
So, for those of you who aren't in on this, a very good friend of the show, Jeremy Vincenzo, he owns Fire Chicken Sandwiches in Ashtabula, and Jeremy asked me to help him name a salad. And
Don't give away all the tea, though.
no, I'm not. But he asked us to help him name some stuff, like some salads, some foods, and Anthony and I were just brainstorming over here because I was telling Anthony what the ingredients were to some of the things that Jeremy wanted me to help him with naming, and we asked ChatGPT what they would name this salad based on the ingredients I'm giving you, and be a little funny is what I posted, because Jeremy's restaurant is like predicated on humor. So ChatGPT came through, man. They came through. And ChatGPT, out of nowhere, from what I described, said, hey, that salad sounds like jump the border salad. Or what was it called, Anthony?
Lettuce jump the border?
Let us jump the border salad. So that's not on the menu or anything. I want to make that disclaimer. But ChatGPT suggested that name, and I told Anthony, and he about died. and I mean, that was a pretty funny name suggestion. But hey, from what that salad would have in it, though, Anthony, that would be a solid meal. It would be a very refreshing meal. You know, you wouldn't be weighed down the next day going on the course.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think that that kind of gets lost in the hustle and bustle, you know what I mean? Like, you want to eat such good food that you're not really thinking about tomorrow morning when you actually probably should be. God knows I've had to leave around real quick to go back to the clubhouse. Oh, gosh. But the Masters, so we're done talking about the dinner. The dinner obviously would be the best part, but, you know, I probably wouldn't even make the cut after the first day. I know I wouldn't. But I want to talk about some early picks for who I think could contend at the Masters tournament to be a winner. And the first person I'm going to talk about is a big underdog. Big underdog. But Mr. Jordan Spieth. So I have a lot of notes here, and I'm just going to read my notes on him. So as of yesterday, March 23rd, 2025, Jordan Spieth's odds to win the Masters are listed at plus 3,200. So if you don't know what that means, that's indicating pretty much that that the bookmakers in Vegas are considering a pretty big long shot for a victory. So Spieth has in the past talked about confidence in his game and the confidence that he could actually parlay that to a success at Augusta. He went as far as saying that the significance of the Masters is often overstated, and that he thinks the course is a bit more forgiving than others. Now, first of all, I take a bit of umbrage with what Jordan Spieth says, because the significance of the Masters cannot be overstated. It's just like the Ohio State-Michigan game this year in football. The Masters, to me, is the Ohio State Michigan game is the college football equivalent of the Masters to me. It's the biggest game, the biggest event. I have to watch it. Yes, Ohio State won the national title in football this year, but they lost to Michigan, right? So for a golfer, yes, they won the Valspar Open, but they lost the Masters. You see what I'm saying? The Masters is the biggest deal in golf. I think, in my opinion. But Jordan Spieth has had some success at Augusta. I mean, 2015. And he's finished in the top 5 multiple times. So he definitely could contend with the Masters this year. I take him as a long shot, but the one reason I bring him up is for my degenerate friends that do like to gamble. Jordan Spieth at plus 3,200 is an absolute awesome line to take if you're just throwing a couple dollars at a bet, because if it's going to be a throwaway bet or a bonus bet, take that and parlay it into Jordan Spieth to win the Masters. Like I said, 2015, and he's had a couple top 5 finishes. So Spieth is definitely my dark horse to win it. I think he could definitely pull it off. He has been more relaxed because Jordan Spieth is a very strange individual. He gets very worked up. He gets very in his own head, but he's seemed more relaxed lately. So he seems more confident. He seems to walk with a bit more like square up in his shoulders. Like, I think the old Jordan Spieth's back. In some ways, I think he's got a long way to go before he becomes what he used to be. But Jordan Spieth could be back, and he could kick that off with a win at the Masters this year. Be awesome to see. Another person I think that could win the Masters this year is Xander Schauffele. So very strong contender. Very strong contender. So if you guys go on to Golf Digest and look at their rankings, Schauffele is listed as the 3rd best bet to win at Augusta they put the odds at 10-1. But Vegas Insider, which is a great tool to use for gambling responsibly, places him at a plus 1,200. So he's definitely one of the top favorites if you look at it from a gambling perspective. Again, do it responsibly. So he did pretty well in 2024 at Augusta, and he also won, and he's got the PGA Championship last year and the Open Championship. So he's definitely boosted his reputation as a major title contender. He's been injured this year in 2025. I believe it was 6 weeks he took off. He took about 6 weeks off, and he has said that he's not at his best yet, but you can tell when like you're watching him on X or his Instagram reels or anything like that, he's working his way back. I think Xander Schauffele, like I said, he's won a couple majors last year. He's one of the top guys and odds makers in Vegas. Schauffele's iron game and putting game are two things I really like seeing with him. And when he got hurt and before he got hurt, he looked pained hitting the ball like that 5-iron and 6-iron. And now when you're watching him like on the course or in his Instagram or anything like that, he looks a lot more relaxed. His swing doesn't look as mechanical anymore. It looks a little bit more free-flowing like we saw a couple years ago when he was having a little bit of fun. So I think that if Xander continues, just like Jordan Spieth, to be confident and to not let the small things get to him, he could be a huge contender to win at the Masters this year. It would be absolutely awesome to see Schauffele win. Schauffele is one of my favorite golfers. I would put him as one of my top 3 favorite golfers right now. Possibly number 1. I'd say Xander Schauffele is probably my favorite golfer right now. X-Man. I mean, you can't help but love that nickname, right? So then I almost hate doing this because it's the absolute most obvious pick, and I think that people, it used to be like, who do you think is going to win the Masters? Oh, Tiger. Now I think when you ask who do you think is going to win the Masters, there's like 2 or 3 names that can come up. Scotty Scheffler being one, Jon Rahm being one. But I think the one name we all need to look out for this year is the Irishman, Rory McIlroy. So Rory just won last week. He won it. He won his major last week. That was awesome. Not Valspar, but last week. So he is the leading contender for the Masters. His odds to win are now listed at plus 1,000. So in the 2025 season, so this season, Rory has gotten back to form. He's gotten back to being the old Rory. The Rory that we all loved. He won the Pebble Beach Pro-Am this year, and he won the Players. He won the Players. I loved when Rory won the Players this year. It was a dramatic, I mean, they had to play it Monday. They played it last Monday was their playoff. That was crazy. And he won it at 9 a.m. It was him and it was Rory and Spawn that were going up against each other, and they had to do an aggregate 3-hole playoff last Monday, and Rory ran away with it. It was absolutely awesome. So he did play at the Texas Children's Hospital, Houston Open, and he's had a busy schedule, right? So a lot of people are thinking there's going to be a lot of wear and tear on Rory. I don't necessarily think so. I don't think so, guys, because Rory is best when he's like bringing himself to the brink and training and doing everything analytical. I think Rory's at the top of his game right now. I think he's back to being the Rory of old. A lot of these guys, I think, are going back to who they used to be. I think that it's great for the game of golf to see this kind of thing, especially seeing Rory break through and win the Players and the Pebble Beach Pro-Am this year. Rory has not had a lot of success at the Masters. The last 12 rounds he's played at Augusta, he's struggled to break 70 in 11 of those 12 rounds. So that ain't gonna cut it if you're not par or better. He, in his last 4 appearances, in 3 of 4 of them, he's finished at 22, tied for 22nd or worse at those events. So it's not been great, right? And he missed 2 cuts in that time as well. So he's he's not been doing great, but Rory wants that career Grand Slam, and all he needs to do to complete it is winning the Masters. So Rory, even though he hasn't played great at Augusta, even though he's finished 22 or 22nd or worse at 11 of his last 12 rounds and missed two of those times he missed the cut. I think that with the renewed confidence and the renewed interest in his game, Rory could return to form. So it'd be really awesome to see a top 10 that includes Rory, that includes, Justin Thomas, that includes Xander Schauffele and Jordan Spieth. I'd like to see DeChambeau up there. And I'll be honest with you guys, Neil Shipley, the winner of the amateur event at the Masters last year, the old Buckeye, the Ohio State boy that contended with him and golfed with Tiger in the round. I'd love to see, he won't finish anywhere in the top 10, not even in the top 50, but I mean, I'd love to see his name. I'd love to see Neil Shipley's name on the leaderboard. I'd love it if Shatith Thagala and Akshay Bhatia actually were in the top 15. That'd be great too. Those younger guys coming up in the game of golf, especially Indian, especially the Korean players, especially the Australian players like Min Lee Woo, excuse me. These international players coming into the PGA now have really sparked a huge renewed interest worldwide in golf, and it's been pretty awesome. So to be able to see those guys in like the top 25, top 20, top 15, top 10, top 5 would be absolutely awesome, because the PGA lost an insane exodus of talent when the Live Tour was created, and you had all these guys go over for big money. Rory was one of the few that stayed, which I think helped save the PGA. But I mean, even Jon Rahm ended up deflecting, which was just a gut blow. But these younger guys that are coming in from like the international pool, I guess if you want to call it, have come in and they've kind of reinvigorated, in my opinion, the game of golf. Guys like Tom Kim, Tommy Fleetwood, who has the most top 20 finishes without a PGA win in his career, and is also the top earner for someone who's never won an event on the PGA Tour in his life. He's one of the top earners for that, from England, Great Britain. Tommy Fleetwood. Like I said, Tom Kim, Minwoo Lee, I mean, Thagala, Boccia. There's so many great golfers out there right now. And the Masters, I think this year is really going to showcase that. So let me know in the chat. Let me know this week, what are you guys looking forward to with the upcoming golf season? Whether it's, you don't watch golf, you don't follow golf, you just play golf with your friends on Sunday, you're a Sunday hacker, Sunday warrior, or you're super deep into the golf world, the PGA world, the dynamic between Live and PGA. What are you guys thinking about the golf season that has been and that will be this year? I'm really excited to talk golf, guys. We don't talk golf a lot. We don't get to. It doesn't really come up a lot organically. But this week, I really wanted it to make a point for the next couple of weeks for us to talk golf for a little bit as the MLB season ramps up and the NBA season starts winding down. All right, so we're going to move on here. Excuse me. We're going to move on to March Madness. And guys, it has been mad. It has been wild. It's been amazing. What a tournament so far. What a tournament, guys. Let's go. It's been so much fun to watch some of these guys. Iowa State, the Cyclones, the 3 seed, end up falling to the Ole Miss Rebels by a score of 91-78. Guys, this is another instance of the Iowa State Cyclones showing themselves to be frauds and shitting the bed and showing why they're a great Big 12 team in the regular season, but they cannot get it done in the postseason. Iowa State, I've said it time and time again, they are such a trendy pick every year to go deep in the tournament because they have a dearth of NBA talent. They have a fantastic head coach. But when it comes down to it, I believe the Iowa Cyclones are so dependent on iso ball and hero ball that they completely abandon their offensive sets and their offensive system as a whole when the game starts getting tough. I am not a fan of that. I believe I picked the Iowa State Cyclones to advance in the tournament. I think I fucked up. Because I'm going to tell you right now, them Rebels upset them to the tune of 91-78. Absolutely awesome. Absolutely good for them. Ole Miss is going to continue rolling in the tournament. Mark my words. Now, a huge game, guys. A huge game I want to talk to you about. Arkansas versus St. John in the second round. The second round of the tournament. Arkansas. Coach Calipari, Coach John Calipari, whose beautiful face we're going to see in a minute. He goes in to the tournament as a 10 seed, upsets who I thought would be the national champion in Kansas. Kansas shits the bed. Kansas is frauds. I misled everyone and I'm sorry. But John Calipari says, I ain't fucking done. Hold on. They go into St. John's, coached by the legendary Boston Celtics and Louisville Cardinals coach Rick Pitino. And the St. John powerhouse, as I'm going to call them. The worst shooting team in the country, as rated by KenPom. But they were the number 2 seed in their region. They were one of the top 8 combined seeds in the tournament. They were the number 2 seed going against number 10. Pitino and Calipari, a matchup of legendary coaches. Absolutely legendary coaches, guys. This was something to watch. That was something to see. Because Coach Calipari showed it don't matter if he's at fucking Providence, if he's at Memphis, if he's at Boston, Kentucky, or Arkansas. He's getting the fucking job done, man. Calipari and his fucking Razorbacks outlasted St. John and Rick Pitino 75-66. What a game. A lot of guys from Kentucky followed Calipari over, including the son of Cavs could-have-been legend, DeJuan Wagner, who Calipari coached at the University of Memphis. His son, DJ Wagner, committed to Calipari at Kentucky and then followed Coach Cal all the way down to Arkansas. And Arkansas could be for real. I thought that Arkansas would put up a fight. I knew that St. John was the worst shooting team in the country. What I didn't know was that John Calipari decided to let his kids play basketball and play a little bit out of his offensive sets and allow them to kind of be a little free-flowing. And look what happened. They had fun. They went out there and they did the job. It's great to see. Arkansas advances. Anthony, if you don't mind, I'm going to check my tournament bracket here to see who they play next because it is escaping me at the moment. So give me 1 second, chat. So Arkansas is going to play Texas Tech, who beat Drake, who was my darling team. Drake was my darling to win to win big. Drake ended up losing to Texas Tech by a score of 64-77. Drake upsets Missouri, the 11th seed over the 6th seed on opening weekend. Now, if you guys remember, I had Drake upsetting them, which was absolutely awesome. I thought, like I said, Drake would go a little bit later into the tournament. But now we're seeing Texas Tech versus Arkansas in the round of 16. In the Sweet 16, we're going to have a hell of a matchup. And I'm going to tell you, Texas Tech's probably favored. Texas Tech's got Janelle Davis and JT Toppin. JT Toppin averaging just a hair over 18 points a night. Doing the damn thing. And Janelle Davis for the Razorbacks is averaging a hair under 12 points a night. You're going to see, I mean, JT Toppin's a hell of a player. He's averaging 9.5 rebounds a game. So almost 20 points a game and 9 rebounds a game. We're really going to see JT Toppin, I think, come alive. I think that Arkansas's run ends right here. Texas Tech is just the better team, but we cannot discount what Calipari's been able to do in his first year in Arkansas, especially having a bit of a lackluster regular season like he had. I think that even he'd tell you that he had a bit of a lackluster regular season with that team. So now he's showing in the tournament anything can happen, and he's still Coach Cal. It doesn't matter what school he's at. Finally, one of the big upsets, Maryland versus... It was an upset in that Maryland ended up winning because Maryland is the 4 seed in that region. Colorado State is the 12 seed, but Maryland needed a buzzer beater to win 72-71. Colorado State was in control that entire game. And it was Derek Queen that ended up hitting that shot. Derek Queen is not my pick for the greatest player on Maryland, but he absolutely went out and did the damn thing. Shout out to him. I'm just sad that Colorado State's Cinderella run ends against Maryland. So now, I got 2 games for you guys to look out for. 2 games for you guys to look out for this coming week in the tournament, okay? So we got to go the number 1 seed versus the number 4 seed, and that's going to be the Duke Blue Devils versus the Arizona Wildcats. And they are going to be, led by Cooper Flagg, who is playing with no ankle pain whatsoever. God bless Coop. God bless Cooper Flagg. But I'm going to tell you what, he's averaging almost 19 points a night. But Con Knipple, that's how you say his name, Con Knipple, our boy, right there. He is no slouch either. Con Knipple is a great 3-point shooter. Great 3-point shooter. And while Cooper Flagg leads Duke in all the major statistical categories of the points, rebounds, and assists, he's averaging essentially a 19, 10, and 5 season, which is absolutely point forward numbers. Not point guard, point forward. Con Knipple reminds me of a Grayson Allen, JJ Redick, John Shayer type Duke player. He's the little white boy who's out there causing havoc. He's out there doing the dirty work. He's out there hitting the 3 on everybody. Knipple is, I don't think there could be a better running mate for Cooper Flagg. I think if you ask Cooper Flagg to make a running mate in a lab, it would be Con Knipple. He does, like I said, he has all the intangibles that you want out of a great teammate and great player. Con Knipple can shoot the 3. He's got the mid-range game. He can drive. He ain't going to throw down a 360 windmill on you, but he's going to do it. He's going to drive. And he's great at kicking it out to the open shooter. And his zone defense is absolutely fantastic. Someone's got to supplant Cooper Flagg. You're going to do that when you got Con Knipple on your team. Duke looks great. But a few years ago, the University of North Carolina recruited a young man named Caleb Love. Caleb Love wreaked havoc in the ACC. Caleb Love, I think, got tired of playing in the ACC, and I think Caleb Love wanted a bigger role. I keep saying the name Caleb Love because Caleb Love, the UNC player, is now Caleb Love, the University of Arizona player. And Love is averaging 17 points a night. 17 points a night. And he ain't missing from the 3 free throw line. He's shooting almost 90%. Caleb Love is one of the best distributors in college basketball, but he's also one of the best dynamic European-style Monty Ginobili, Tony Parker driving point guard, shooting guard hybrid in college right now. I think Caleb Love comes back to haunt the Duke Blue Devils. I think Con Knipple does everything he can. I think Cooper Flagg does everything he can. But I think the Arizona Wildcats upset Duke behind Duke's cold shooting and Caleb Love being an absolute baller for the team. But that's not to say Caleb Love isn't going to have any help, because he's got Tobe Akawa on his team. And Tobe Akawa averages 8 rebounds a night, 3 of which are offensive rebounds. He is controlling the perimeter, he's controlling the interior, and he's disrupting players that are bigger than him, physically and height-wise. Now, when I say physically, I mean wider, stronger. Tobawaka isn't the biggest guy in the world, but I'm going to tell you right now, he is going to affect the game in a very big way. We are going to see the Wildcats upset. The Wildcats are going to upset the Duke Blue Devils, and the score is going to be 78-67. Now, Kentucky is playing Tennessee. The 3 seed is playing the 2 seed. Young man named Kobe Bray. Kobe Bray, ladies and gentlemen. What a player. What a player. Him and Otega Owe, I think that's how you say his name. 16 points a night. They're combining for almost 27 points a night between the two of them. But Kobe Bray has been an absolute spark plug for the Kentucky Wildcats. The Illinois Fighting Illini, though, have Chaz Lanier, who averages 18 points a night, and Igor Milicic is getting almost 7 rebounds a night. So I don't know if Igor is related to former number 2 overall pick in 2003 of the Detroit Pistons, Darko Milicic. That'd be pretty cool to find out. But Anthony, maybe you can find that out at some point for me. Is Darko related to Igor Milicic? So Kentucky beat Illinois. Kentucky beat Illinois by a score. I don't remember what the score is, but Kylan Boswell scored 26 points. Kylan Boswell scored 26 points. Not great, right? So Kentucky has Darko Milicic's father is Igor Milicic Sr. So Igor Milicic Jr. for Tennessee is Darko's brother. That's crazy. So Anthony, have you ever heard of Darko Milicic?
No.
Okay, so the LeBron draft, when LeBron went number 1, the Pistons had the number 2 overall pick, and they could have picked Carmelo Anthony or Dwayne Wade, but they picked Darko Milicic. You know how many points Darko Milicic got his first year in the NBA?
How many?
About 7 total for the year. I jest. But no, it was bad. He was out of the league within 5 years. It was crazy. And he's the number 2 overall pick.
More than Bronny?
Bronny was the 2nd round pick, brother. Darko Milicic was the number 2 overall pick.
That's fair.
You know, Bronny, I don't really expect a lot out of because I'm a realist, unlike his dad. Anyway, so Chaz Lanier and Zakai Zegler are huge components of the Tennessee's game, and Tennessee did sweep the season series of Kentucky. So there is some heavy bad blood here, and Tennessee opens as a 4.5 point favorite against Kentucky. I think the trend continues. Kentucky's been absolutely awesome, but when you have Chaz Lanier and Igor Milicic and Zakai Zegler, 3 guys I mentioned, Zegler's averaging almost 7.5 assists a night. They know how to move the ball. Kentucky loses by a score of 72-78. That's what my prediction is. So you heard it here first. Tennessee advances to the Elite Eight, and so does Arizona. Duke and Kentucky, 2 Blue Buds, go home in the round of 32. So let me know, guys. What do you think? What do you think about my picks, and who do you think could be some great upset picks for this weekend going into the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight? Let me know, comment in here, send us a DM, post on our Facebook wall, whatever you want to do, but let us know who you think your major upset picks are going to be. Now, Nick Pay, friend of the show, my buddy Nick, says Shateeth Thagala will win the Masters this year. That's a sneaky good pick, Nick. That's a sneaky good pick. Shateeth is a great player. I would love to see him break through and actually win. That'd be absolutely awesome. So we talked about the bunkers. We talked about the bracket busters. But now our video promised you buckets, bunkers, and bracket busters. So we're going to give you the buckets now. And we're going to start off with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And there's our boy. There's our boy Don. And Donnie, you're out of your element. You're out of your element, Donnie. I felt like Walter Sobchak from The Big Lebowski just then. Kind of looked like him too. So the Cavs recently went on a pretty big losing streak, but they rebounded against the Utah Jazz last night by a winning score of 120-91. It was a balanced team effort. Donovan Mitchell poured in 16 points while Jarrett Allen led the team with 18. The bench squad's still huge. You got Sam Merrill, DeAndre Hunter, and Ty Jerome. They combined for 33 points among the three of them. Okay? So great bench showing last night. I feel like the Cavs lost a little bit of mojo the past couple weeks. I think they may have gotten caught up in their own hype. I think that Kenny Atkinson maybe was trying to rest people. I think that Donovan Mitchell's been doing a little bit of load management. I understand that. We have the Central Division locked up, I believe. We already clinched a playoff spot. You know, we aren't necessarily, I think, scared of any team in the Eastern Conference. I really don't. I really don't think the Cavs are scared of anyone right now. I mean, for shit's sake, guys, they play hard every night. There has been something off the past few games, but I do believe that that's because Kenny Atkinson's been playing a little bit with the rotations. I think that maybe we're doing a little bit too much load management because I don't want these guys getting complacent with losing, but I also don't want them blowing off losses, right? The worst thing to do is be more overconfident than you should be. There's a difference between having confidence and then overconfidence, right? I think that initially at the beginning of his career, Conor McGregor was very confident in himself, and that's why he was winning all the time. But then he got overconfident, and that's when he started shitting the bed and doing stupid shit and starring in the Roadhouse remake, which he probably shouldn't have done. But if Conor would have just stayed confident, he probably win a lot more, but he got overconfident. I think the Cavs did get a little overconfident for a bit there. I believe that the Cavs are true contenders, okay? Now, Anthony, we have a young man who doesn't play for the Cavs, who plays for the Boston Celtics by the name of Jason Tatum, who poured 30 points in last night to help the Trailblazers get their asses kicked by the Celtics because Tatum dropped 30. So while the Cavs were sliding, the Celtics were rising. They won 5 games in a row, and now we're only 5 games behind the Cavs for first place with 14 games left to play. I don't necessarily think the Celtics catch the Cavs, but I do believe that the Celtics are the biggest threat to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA playoffs. I think the East is going to come down to the Cavs and the Celtics based on everything I've seen this year, okay? And that's not the homer in me. I didn't think the Cavs would be this good this year. I thought we were going to regress. I thought the Cavs wouldn't win more than 44 games this year. But they have absolutely set the world on fire and are playing the best brand of basketball I've ever seen the Cavs play. The Boston Celtics have been to the finals. They've been beat by the Cavs to not go to the finals when LeBron was in town. When Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were on that team, they're still held over from that. Those two have a little bit extra incentive to try to whoop the Cavs' ass in the playoffs because Tatum and Brown couldn't get past LeBron. So don't you think it stands to reason that Tatum and Brown are looking at it right now like, man, if we can beat the Cavs in the playoffs, that just shows that they need LeBron to beat us, right? I think that that's a fair assessment. There's going to be a little bit extra blood in the water, I think, if those two meet. They are the only threat that I see in the Eastern Conference to the Cavs. I think the New York Knicks would be a threat to the Cavs if they didn't have the coaching of Tom Thibodeau, who I don't understand what Thibodeau's doing half the time, and it actually worries me that I don't think that man remembers he's not playing NBA 2K25 and he's coaching actual basketball. Some of the lineup decisions he makes are absolutely mind-blowing. I thought going out and getting Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns this offseason was going to make them probably the most unbeatable team in the NBA. I thought it was the dawn of the next super team. You've got Towns, you've got OG Anunoby, you got Jalen Brunson, you got Mikal Bridges, you've got a dearth of talent on the bench. how are they not at 60 wins already? It's crazy, but Thibodeau does what Thibodeau does, man. I can't see anyone out. Like I said, outside of the Celtics, there's no one in the East that scares me if I'm the Cleveland Cavs. But this losing streak that they won on absolutely concerned me, and I was worrying if there might be an injury, anything like that. All signs point to that we're healthy, and we're trying to just plug ahead to the playoffs, because the playoffs are going to be an absolute hell of a time as a Cavs fan, because this is the first year I think that we're actual contenders since LeBron left Cleveland. It's really nice to see an organically built team of young players who are so many different styles and so many different it's just like a completely different makeup of a team, right? We are going to see a totally different brand of playoff basketball because JB Bickerstaff and his more structured offense, his more emphasis on, setting the play and playing a specific type of defense, not running as much, very set, very rigid rotations. It goes away, and this new free-form type of offense, which is having fun playing basketball and actually being allowed to shoot threes, is going to be there. And Kenny Atkinson isn't afraid to call out his players, which is really awesome. Like when he's called Jarrett Allen out a few times, Allen, I think, respects that and has taken the seat. I don't think Jarrett Allen respected JB Bickerstaff, and that's why Allen didn't make that extra push to play last year in the playoffs when we needed him because of Bickerstaff. I could be completely wrong, but I think that played a significant contributing factor in that. So we've got Cavs Celtics, but we need to talk about the Lakers. So LeBron got hurt his groin, I believe it was. And the Lakers have been losing, but they've been doing a fair bit of winning too. And Luka's averaging over 30 points a night. Luka has been absolutely lights out for the Lakers. And I wanted to discuss LeBron's going to be a free agent in the next couple years. LeBron's going to still be playing basketball. He's still playing at a pretty good level. Do the Lakers necessarily need LeBron with having Luka Doncic? Luka's already been to a finals. He didn't win, but I mean, he was playing with Kyrie Irving's one knee and not much else. His team wasn't that great against a pretty loaded Celtics squad. If the Lakers got rid of LeBron and actually built a team around Luka, because it's LA, they got money and it's a big market and players will come there, could the Lakers be better off without LeBron? I think the answer is absolutely yes. I think that we are in a time when people grew up watching LeBron and being hyped up to play against him, but I think that mystique is kind of wearing off. I think people are kind of getting tired of LeBron's shtick. Is LeBron a great player? Yes. Is he one of the greatest of all time? Yes. Is he the greatest of all time? In my opinion, no. But that doesn't mean I don't acknowledge that he could be the best player of all time. I'm just not a LeBron fan. I haven't been. I never will be. He's just not my cup of tea. Okay? And I get why LeBron's great. I get what he's done. I respect his greatness, but I just don't think he's the greatest basketball player of all time. I think that Luka Doncic, from where he sits, stands to be one of the faces of the NBA within the next 5 years. He plays on one of the biggest teams in the biggest city, in the biggest market in the world. He is primed for superstardom. He's a little white guy. He's wearing an off-kilter number. He's a bit chubby. He's everything that you wouldn't expect from a face of the league NBA superstar. He's just not. But isn't that kind of playing into it? Isn't that kind of adding to the mystique? That's absolutely awesome. LA has a marketable, off-kilter, off-brand, like different guy that they can really market and make the face of the league. And if you can surround him with young players to start around him and older players to help lead the team with Luka, you could really build a legitimate contender this offseason if he moved on from LeBron. I think that LeBron could go to a team like the Knicks. I think he could go to Dallas and play with AD and Kyrie. I think he could go to Golden State and play there. I mean, and just end his career, you know? I don't want him back on the Cavs. I know he could come back to the Cavs, but I don't want him here. He says Boston's a horrible city, but I could see him going to Boston too, now that I think about it. But if you really think about it, getting rid of LeBron and the money behind him and all the circus that comes with him, and just letting Luka lead a team and make them better, because Luka made the Mavericks great. Luka was that guy in Dallas for years. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can do. We have such an influx of talent in the National Basketball Association that is unprecedented. Guys like Luka, guys like Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Wagner twins, Paulo Banchero. You have such young, marketable figures that it almost feels disingenuous hanging on to LeBron and pumping him up anymore, especially with the market in LA and everything. I understand it. It's good for business. It's good for business. At the end of the day, the NBA is a business and they need to promote their most marketable asset. But is LeBron the league's most marketable asset anymore? I don't think he is. I think basketball since 2003 has become a much bigger global brand, and that is in large due part to LeBron. That is in big part to LeBron. But now, not all things have to stay the same, and nor should they. Now you have France, you have Europe, the rest of Europe, you have a lot of the Asiatic countries, you have South American countries. Players are immigrating everything from their countries to colleges or to the G League or to the major leagues in Europe and China and Russia and everywhere, and getting noticed and now coming in here. It's become more of a global brand. I don't think it's fair to have a guy like LeBron stick around and be that face of the league when you have so many other marketable pieces. I don't even think that there should just be a face of the league anymore. I think that there should be faces of the league. Faces of the league. Showing how diverse and how wild the NBA actually is right now. There is a dude that looks like me that is averaging 30 points and 10 boards a night. A fat white guy is doing that, and he's being lauded as the next MVP, Nikola Jokic. You know how awesome that is for me to see? Dude don't even leave his feet when he shoots the basketball. And I chant "one of us" every time I watch him play. It's freaking awesome. So before I leave you guys for the evening, I want to leave you with two questions. So the question I'm going to ask you guys is, do the Lakers necessarily need to keep LeBron past this season to remain contenders? Go ahead and respond to this in the chat. Go ahead and send us a DM. Go ahead and message us on our Facebook wall. But the question I'm going to leave you guys sports-wise with tonight is, do the Lakers need to keep LeBron this offseason in order to continue to be contenders in the Western Conference and in the NBA as a whole? I'm going to let Anthony type that out. CONTENDERS. There you go, Bubba. Western Conference and the NBA. All right. Go ahead and answer that in the chat, guys. All right. And then the final question I'm going to leave you guys with tonight is I recently have distributed to some people around the Asheville area a little questionnaire on our humble podcast here.
Hold on, Tom. Before we get that far, before we get off the NBA,
Okay.
I'm curious.
Okay.
So you said the Cavaliers are contenders,
Yeah. Yeah.
and their only real opposition is the Celtics.
In the East.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say who do you have? Who do you have, Celtics or Cavs?
Right now, like if Game 7 was today,
We're playing.
we're playing Game 7 right now, and it's tied 3-3. Are we in Cleveland or are we in Boston for Game 7?
Well, we would be in Cleveland because
Because we're number one. I still got Boston.
okay.
As it stands right now, the Celtics go to the finals.
Against who in the West?
The Oklahoma City Thunder, because the Thunder have not shown me any weaknesses over the past 3 weeks. This is when it matters.
Okay.
This is when it matters, Anthony. This is when these last few weeks of the season, these last like 20 games or so, we've only got 14 left, right? So these last 20 games or so starting like a week, 2 weeks ago, this is when you really refine your rotations. This is really when you unleash the bag. This is when you get that last load management out, right? This is when like you're letting a guy like the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is like when you're letting Shea Gilgeous-Alexander rest, right? Because he's got a big load coming playoff time. So even the Thunder are doing these things and they're still winning, and they're still playing guys like the Nuggets. They're still playing the Lakers, the Clippers. They're playing these tougher teams week in and week out, and they're still winning. So the Celtics are doing the same thing. Like the Celtics yesterday, they rested Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown did not play yesterday, but Tatum dropped 30. Porzingis was balling. I mean, absolute masterclass by Joe Mazzulla, right? Absolute masterclass. I can't pronounce the Geralt, I believe is how you pronounce it, but masterclasses in coaching and load management right now. Now, Anthony, to be fair, Kenny Atkinson was an assistant coach with the Warriors. Before that, his first real head coaching stint in the NBA was with the Brooklyn Nets when he had Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. So that a little tough, right? You got 3 personalities like that. Now, Kenny only has to deal with really one personality because there's only one superstar in Cleveland, and that's Donovan Mitchell. You've got stars in Evan Mobley and Darius Garland, but not superstars, right? So Kenny Atkinson, I don't think is doing as great of a job right now in these aspects of what's going on, like the load management, the lineup tinkering and finalization. When if he would be a little bit more decisive in what he was doing, I think the Cavs would have been in a much better spot. Like, they had no business losing to the Kings the other night. They just didn't. The Kings don't have anyone of note anymore. De'Aaron Fox is gone. You know, they got Domantas Sabonis, but, you know, the only thing good about the Sabonis boy is his dad, or Arvidas, or however you said it. He was a 30-something-year-old rookie in the NBA. So, I don't know why I was doing my Trump hands there. But, yeah, no, Anth, if it's today, Celtics beat Cavs in Game 7.
And so Celtics and Thunder.
Celtics Thunder.
Game 7 right now.
Game 7 right now. If it was Celtics Thunder?
Yes.
Celtics. I think Celtics, because the Celtics have been here before. The Celtics have won a title. They know what it takes. They added what they needed to add. They kept what they needed to keep. The big thing was keeping Al Horford, their big man who can shoot threes with Porzingis, because Al Horford is basically that coach on the floor like Udonis Haslem was for the Heat for all those years, and like how Richard Jefferson and James Jones and Channing Frye were for the Cavs, but Al Horford still plays at a very high level. The Thunder don't have that veteran leader yet. You know what I'm saying? Not that that's going to be like the end all be all, but what I'm saying is when you have a guy like Al Horford who's still playing at a high level, who also is that coach on the floor, and then you've got those young talents in Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and then you've got a guy like Drew Holiday who's an elite defensive and pass first point guard. That's just a recipe for success, right? Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, great shooters off the bench. The Thunder have a great roster. They have a great makeup, but the Thunder are just too young. Do you remember, Anthony? I think it was 2007 when the Mavericks were the number 1 seed and the Golden State Warriors were number 8, and the Warriors ended up winning the series. They were real young, like Monte Ellis and Steph Curry. Or it was Monte Ellis and I think Steph Curry and Andrew Bogut were on the team together.
I don't know if I remember that. I mean, that would have been when Dirk was playing.
It was when Dirk was playing.
And they got beat by Golden State?
Yeah, when Golden State was shitty. Like, well, not shitty. I mean, they were the number 8 overall seed in the playoffs for the West. You know what I mean? But they were young,
Right.
is what I'm getting at. So when you're young, you can win those startup series, right? You could upset a team. Like it was shown that year, the Warriors upset the Mavericks. You could go deep in the playoffs. But I think that if you don't have that veteran leader, that elder statesman, so to speak, you're not going to have as easy of a time winning it. And I think the Celtics just have that. It's much more prevalent.
Fair enough. But go ahead. Sorry to divert you from what you were
you're
going
fine.
to talk about.
No, you're fine. Are you talking about the question that I was going to ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the final question I was going to ask is, guys, I have dropped off about 15 surveys around Ashtabula to people that I know that haven't necessarily watched the show since we turned over to sports. So they were fans of the show when we did like interview style, that kind of thing. I asked them a couple questions, and I'm getting some questions from them texted over to me right now. But I want to know, if we put out a Google Docs questionnaire, how many people would be interested in responding to that? Basically just we're trying over here. Anthony has a great production system going. We have a great studio here. We have great everything. But you can't remain complacent in what you do, especially as you evolve a show that has evolved so much. So when we first started, we were more the interview style. Then it was more back and forth, Anthony and I debate type thing. Now it has landed on sports, which is where I think we're going to stay for quite a while, because it seems like we both really enjoyed this aspect of everything. Anthony on the production side, me on the more analytical sports side, right? But we want to make it more fun. So last week we did a thing where Anthony set up a basketball hoop. Friend of the show, Thomas Sawicki, just was like, dunk a fucking ball, like in the chat. So Anthony was like, fuck it, we're gonna dunk a fucking ball. And I think I tore my ACL doing it. I felt it in the morning. But what do you guys want to see more of? What do you want to hear less of? What do you want me to bring up more or less? So I'm going to make a Google Doc. I'm going to put it out there. I'm just kind of wondering who would all be interested, and maybe chatting a little bit after the fact with me and maybe with Anthony, and we can really delve into what we might be missing, where we might be able to improve, what we're doing good, everything like that. This is a show that we do for us, but we also do for you guys, because I mean, there needs to be good sports content out there. Unbiased sports content that doesn't carry an agenda like ESPN does, where they push one narrative. We don't want to push a narrative. What we want to do is we want to give facts and have an unfiltered chat with you guys, which we have fun doing. So I'm going to be putting that out there, but I want to know who's interested in chatting a little bit more one-on-one. So, like with Facebook Messenger, that kind of thing, we can maybe go over some stuff together and see really what we're able to improve on. So, Anthony, you got anything else tonight?
No, sir. No, I'm good.
Well, you know what, Anthony? I'm going to tell you something. It's been a pleasure doing this with you again tonight, my friend.
Always.
And it's been a pleasure doing this with you guys tonight. So thank you for joining the stream, for joining us here on March 24th in the year of our Lord 2025. You guys have all made the cut. I'm Tom Roth. As always, I've got with me my producer, Anthony Aquendo, and I hope you guys have a great